34 in the Premier League with just a couple of game weeks left, and it's another time where we sit down together with our panelists, cook, and discuss about all the fixtures. This is your Game Week 34 Premier League preview. Welcome back to Love Arsenal, and tonight we're going to have our usual Premier League preview show. I have three panelists joining me today. We have one here right now, an OG of the channel, Apachino. How are you doing, brother?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm fine.
Awesome.
Sorry, I'm just trying to set up my. Yeah, I'm good. It's been a very good week for me.
Of course, it's been a good week. I trust that. So while we wait for the others to join, I think we can start. So as I said, welcome again to the Premier League review show, and we'll go through the usual. We start with the Arsenal match review. Then after that, we are going to look at the rescheduled fixtures because we have some FA Cup action this weekend, and because of that FA Cup action, some Premier League teams had to play their games a bit earlier. What FPL calls double game weeks. So we look at those fixtures in the list and see how we panned out for those teams. And of course, we look at the best of the rest, how other teams played in the course of the game week. I and my panelists will look at the surprise of the week, look at our injury and suspension watch, have a look at the Premier League table, and of course, look at your Premier League number 35 predictions. So we have a debutant on the channel, Mr. Nwachu. Welcome, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you guys.
Awesome. So we're going to start with, the Arsenal match review. And Doye, let me get your thoughts on this. You're the defending champions, being a Liverpool fan. And when Liverpool won the Premier League last season, you didn't have this kind of competition because obviously the teams that were challenging for a title were not in the same level of form as you guys were. Now, as a neutral, seeing Arsenal and Man City go head-to-head, what's your take on the situation? Are you like those pundits that are all about, it's good for the Premier League, or do you think that's the right approach that's supposed to be taken and the campaign goes ahead?
Personally, I think it's good for the Premier League. Competition, it brings more talk. Again, it's not a foregone conclusion. Things are happening. We have people that we are still on the edge of our seats. There's no way you wouldn't say that competition isn't good for the Premier League. It's going to help. It helps bring in fans. It helps keep fans. Moments, big moments. That's what we all want to see. You understand? It's just like a typical example, like last season's Champions League finals when PSG ran away with it. At the end of the day, people came out from that game like, this wasn't what they expected. But when you have a game like the Argentina France World Cup finals, so people that were not fans of football before that finals, it actually brought new sets of fans. So when you have competition, it's actually very good. Now for the Arsenal fans, they would have preferred it was an uneventful end to the season, just cruise to the title and everything. But for us neutrals, with no dog in the race or no horse in the race, with no horse in the race, it's good. We love the competition, everything to play for. Watching games, there's pressure, everybody on the edge of their seats. It's good for the league. It's good for the image of the league. It's good for what they, when they talk about the Premier League, at times the argument with La Liga, you hear people say the Premier League is the most entertaining. Even if they don't want to argue which league is better, they say most entertaining. This is entertainment. This is what we want to see, So I think it's very good for the league.
Awesome. We have a couple of folks on the chat. Jay, as always, good to have you, man. So, Mr. Nwachu, this was a game against Liverpool. Arsenal going into this game were under immense pressure. They had lost in the Carabao Cup final to Man City. They lost in the FA Cup final to Southampton. Of course, the Sporting CP games were kind of touchy, but they managed to qualify to the semis. And there was the loss against Bournemouth, which got Man City back into the picture. So, watching this game, you could see the pressure, right, at the Emirates. Is this something that Arsenal fans should expect from now to the end of the season, or do you think at some point things will ease off?
I was kind of like impressed with the way Arsenal took on the game against Newcastle. Yes, there was pressure, and they delivered like soon to be champions, which is what some of us are praying. But the idea is this: it's not going to be easy going forward. Every team aside Wolves, and I should say Burnley has kind of like given up with the season. But you have teams that are mid-table that are fighting for Europe positions. So it's not going to be as easy as most people are going to expect it to be. Same applies to everybody fighting for the Champions League as well. From the first position down to the ninth position, there are all going to be a lot of tight games. It's not going to be a very easy stroll in the park for either of any team. So I expected that grit from Newcastle, and Arsenal proved their mettle by scraping through 1-0. And yeah, so the remaining four games is probably going to be as tight as that. And I
Awesome.
really and I'm expecting them to get past most of those teams as well.
Oh, great, great. So Henry, welcome back to the channel, bro. How you doing, mate? You're muted, Henry, in case you're speaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. It's been a good week, considering that we won,
Yeah. But how was your blood pressure going into that game and after it?
I think for every Arsenal fan, it's becoming a normal situation. Every game, with the blood pressure thing. I don't know if it's sustainable in the long run, but I mean, 3 points. Again, at this point of the season, the most important thing is just getting the 3 points.
Yeah, awesome. So Dorie, let's talk about Newcastle for a little bit. Their form has been terrible. Yeah, no honesty. This was their fifth loss on the bounce, 7-2 against Barcelona, 1-0, 1-2 at home to Sunderland, 2-1 away to Newcastle, to Crystal Palace, 1-2 at home to Bournemouth, and now he lost to Arsenal. Do you think Eddie Howe is working on a tightrope, or do you think his job is secure this summer?
I think he's working on a tightrope. Look, in the if I put it like this, if Arne Slot is under pressure at Liverpool, there is no way that the house should be safe at Newcastle. Considering that Arne Slot won the league last season and Liverpool are poised to finish in the Champions League spots. Newcastle this season have been a disappointment, and for a team like Newcastle, when you invest as heavily as they did, you're hoping to take the next step. This
Yes.
season hasn't been this season hasn't been spectacular from most things. They should be in and around the Champions League places with the quality that they have. After they recruited, everybody was raving about Voldemade when the season started. We looked at it. We looked at Newcastle as a team that was poised. When they talk about midfield in the Premier League, there's an argument that maybe after the at that beginning of the season, maybe after the Arsenal midfield, there's an argument that okay, Tonali, Joe Linton and Guimaraes were arguably the second best midfield in the league. So they have good players. They've invested in good players. They should be higher up than where they are. It's been a terrible season overall, and I just think that knowing the way the English league is, you can't expect any manager to be safe. After all, what is it not Leicester City? The manager that saved them from relegation, they sacked the manager almost immediately and got what they call it, Ranieri that went and helped them
Ranieri.
to win the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look at the
Yeah, that was
history,
not a good person.
of the yeah, yeah, they let him go. So when you look at the history of the Premier League, you understand it's more of a what have you done for me lately league. So of course he should be. You understand? He knows that he's on the hot seat. I hope they give him time. You understand? I hope they give him time, but anything can happen. Good managers are popping up everywhere. Newcastle are very, very ambitious. I wouldn't be surprised if Jose Mourinho doesn't get maybe the Real Madrid job. You see Newcastle start snooping around because that is the kind of hire that they feel will take them to the next level. So again, a very ambitious club. Eddie Howe, they may be looking at him like, okay, can he take us to where we actually want to go? So anything is possible, but I feel like he knows that he's under a lot of pressure.
Awesome. So, Mwachi, let's talk about quality for a little bit. They sold Alexander Isak for 130 mil, and they bought Votima, they bought Johan Visa. But right now, their forward has been Gordon and William Osula. In your own opinion, where do you think you went wrong for the two summer signings that joined the club, and how come they have not been able to stake a claim for the first team spot?
So I, for one, I'm not among those that are quick to find fault with strikers purchased from other leagues. due to the acclimatization to the Premier League, it doesn't augur well with new strikers who come into the league. We know they tend to struggle in the first season, then subsequently, by the time they've got through the gestation period of their survival in the league, that's what I call the gestation period.
Wow.
So
Right.
you now expect them to start thriving in the next league, next season, and so for someone like Voltamada, the EPL has been very physical for him. It has been very physical for him, so he hasn't been able to get past that yet. But he has been working on it. I expect to see a better production from him next season. But my worry should be on Wissa. But I will give him the benefit of that with the fact that he was out for a long time with the
Very
knee
long
injury.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was the designated starting nine. Then when he got the injury, Newcastle had to pedal around and go for Voltamada. So yeah. Which other player did they acquire?
This
Who else
summer,
did
Not
yeah,
forget.
yeah, yeah,
no,
just those two.
in attack, you just those two.
Okay. So Elanga.
No, they got Elanga.
Yes,
Yeah.
Elanga as well. Thank you. So Elanga has been a disappointment, and we are beginning to see the Elanga that was at Man United, which was why Man United had to let him go.
Yeah.
So now Elanga thrived at
Nottingham
Nottingham
Forest.
Forest because Nottingham Forest are the things that sit back and hit you on the counter, and that is how Elanga plays his game.
Yeah, on transition.
On transition, that is where you get the best out of Elanga. But Newcastle isn't a team that sit back and hit you on the counter. No, they don't play transition football. Though at times when they play the bigger teams, the so-called bigger teams like Man City and Arsenal, they tend to switch to transition football, which is where you see Elanga shine in one of those few occasions. But aside that, generally, he has been a disappointment with his huge price tag. Yeah, so I would say this the struggle for Newcastle this season. They've not been able to merge playing an EPL and playing a Champions League, which is a very difficult thing. If you notice, most of these things that are mid-table, and by mid-table I mean no disrespect to Newcastle, I'm just saying those things that are mid-table, it's usually a struggle to balance playing in the EPL and playing Champions League. If you cut across from last season, you had this team from France, Brest.
Yeah.
They also experienced the same thing. At the beginning of the season, they went into the market to fortify their teams, and none of those players were able to turn up last season because while they were struggling with the UCL, they were also struggling on the league, and they just finished at a very
Position.
low position. Yeah, so I would kind of liken Newcastle situation to what happened to Brest last season, balancing,
Yeah.
and that has been an issue. And they also went into the market to get those players to try and balance their team, but it simply hasn't worked out. And these things tend to work out over time. It's not something you can just rush into.
Yeah, but I just think of the
Mhm,
fact that the last time they were in the Champions League, they had the
mhm.
same drama in the Premier League, where they were in the same group with AC Milan and I think it was PSG or so, when it was still like the four group format. And
Yeah,
I know in the Premier League they also struggled as well. So it's basically looking like maybe they're not cut out for this type of football. But at the same time, you want to keep competing well in the Premier League so that you can get to those positions. Obviously, the financial benefits to it, and of course, playing in continental football. So it just seems like the Howe might not just be the man to take them to that level because Leicester also went to the Champions League at some point, and they went all the way to the quarterfinal before losing to Atletico Madrid.
and they struggled the same season in the EPL.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
agree.
they were
Yeah,
always going to struggle.
but I
Mhm.
think the difference there is the fact that this is not Newcastle's first rodeo. They've been to the Champions, like you said, they've been to the Champions League before. So now when you come up, you taste it, and you say, okay, you struggle. The next time you're coming up, we expect that you already know what.
Yeah, what to
Yes,
expect? Yeah, you
what
should
you
prepare
should.
well.
Yes, what to expect. You understand where I'm coming from. You already know what to expect. Now, it's same as with Liverpool. You understand? I'm still going to blame Newcastle with the way they also handled their summer to an extent with the whole Isak situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
that was a factor too.
you know, yeah, they say Isak struggled at Liverpool because of when he came. But it also had the same impact on Newcastle because Isak left late. They had to now start scrambling around to look for a replacement late. Had they
Yeah.
done that business a bit earlier, they would have been able to get in. If it's Voltamade they wanted, they could have been able to get in
But
Voltamade earlier. They could have
Yeah.
maybe probably even moved for Sesko before Manchester United managed to move in for Sesko or get that deal done. You understand earlier. So
Yeah,
again,
but sorry for
Well,
cutting you.
they did try.
They were bullied a lot. They went for
Yeah,
Eketike. You
they
guys
did
bullied
try.
them. They went for Jean Pedro. They went for Mbuemo.
they,
They even went.
no,
They even went
if you
for
if you
Chesco.
Even Sesko, they went for
yes,
Sesko.
if you remember with the whole Ekitike something, you understand, it was out there that Liverpool were linked with Ekitike. Before Newcastle even moved in for Ekitike, and when Liverpool eventually got the sign of Ekitike, most people said that Newcastle had been smart about it, going for Ekitike, forcing Liverpool's hand because Liverpool now will not come for Isak, which now
Yeah.
didn't
Isak again.
even turn out. You understand? But the point I'm making with Newcastle, and it's key for teams that are trying to ascend. You have a finite window for when you have to get it right. Now, I think Newcastle's window may be closing because you see the impact of Isak leaving this season. Gordon is looking to leave. Bruno
Yeah.
Guimaraes has people coming for him. Sandro
Tonali.
Tonali also has
Yeah.
suitors. Before it's like one big domino has fallen. Now, can they, sustain the team long enough to climb back up, or are teams, the bigger teams, just going to come and pick these players? We've seen it's very hard to replace quality players in the Premier League. You have £100 million player, you sell him, you go into the market with that same £100 million, you are not guaranteed to get the same quality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with Newcastle, I feel like, yeah, their time they have just drifted. This season was the season for them to kick on, and they tried to do that, but unfortunately,
It
everything
didn't
just
work
seemed to
out.
go wrong for them.
Yeah, fine, awesome. So we have a couple of folks on the chat. The travel loop. It says Engineer Doye aside to sir. Maybe one of the fans Doye. So the final discussion here, Henry. Arsenal has really struggled in recent games, and the game against Man City was kind of different in the sense that one, he tried something different. He tried to put Havertz in attack instead of Gyökeres. Madueke and Martinelli have been thinking of the place. Eze now finally went to the left. And despite the fact that Arsenal lost the game against Man City, they played to a certain degree very well. And we used almost the same squad against Newcastle, with the exception of being white for Mosquera. So the question now is, how come when we now played against Newcastle, the team was now looking like how they were in previous weeks, shaky, and as if you could see when the final whistle went off, you see how everybody was relieved. So basically, my question for you now, Henry, is how come the performance against Man City was nowhere close to the two performances beside them, Bournemouth on one end and Newcastle on the other?
Again, I think it's a tactical problem, and like I've said earlier, mentioned it numerous times. I think Arteta has been found out in the Premier League, and it has been going on for more than a year. How we are top this season has been a combination of different factors. We've been lucky at times with the set piece. There was I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him that in the earlier part of this season, I think we had I would say a 10-game window where we played really well. But again, if you look at it if you look at the bigger picture, most of the games we've been tactically outfought, outsmarted. We've had moments just decide the game for us in our favor in terms of set piece. Um, Basically, Arteta has a lot of work to do. And what happened in that City game, I think the difference is that City didn't see that coming with Eze, being on the left and him drifting and kind of causing that overload in the middle, which was
Yeah.
something new for City, basically. And I think Newcastle they've definitely gone back and I've seen that game. That's the Premier League for you.
Yeah.
Every new tactic you try out,
Things
there's
that
always
adapt
someone
quickly.
watching. Yeah, there's always someone watching and always looking for solutions. Then that's why the Premier League is really, really difficult. So for Man City, I think that was something new, and it gave us now a bit of a fresh, and that's something that I expected from Mikel Arteta. to be able to change things up. And that's something you see with Guardiola. He does that very well. There are times he starts feeling narrow, he plays like a diamond. In some games, he goes really wide with two out and out wingers. He kind of changes things and chops things, till he finds a winning formula and he sticks with that formula. For Mikel Arteta, if it's working, if it's not working, he stays with the same thing, and over time it's become stale. And I think that's the problem that Arsenal have been suffering for the last 18 months. So and going forward, I don't think that there will be any difference except he decides to come up with something new. So it's really down to Arteta. And if you ask me as an Arsenal fan, um, I'm not the type of fan that would just go berserk on every bad performance or something. But I've been saying this for the past 12 to 15 months. I would love that we win this league, and Arteta, if he knows that he's not able to do that, you can step down and live with your head high,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay, that's fair. All right, guys. So let's go to the rescheduled fixtures. I think I will start with you on this one. We had a scare where Man City finally came to the top of the Premier League after Arsenal had left for 200 days. And this happened when they won against Burnley a couple of days back. Erling Haaland scored a very early goal, and everyone expected this to be a whitewash. But going into this game, Man City played like West Ham, where they missed a lot of chances, and Burnley capitalized on that. So the question to you is, do you think Man City are in a position now where they can potentially win all the rest of the games they have? Or will this Burnley performance be like a benchmark for what you should expect from them going forward?
Okay, so like I said earlier, I don't think it's going to be rosy for the top teams. By top teams, I'm referring to those going for the title and also those going for the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
Because for some reason the table is actually very tight. You have teams down as low as seventh and eighth still fighting for a position.
Mm-hmm.
So so now talking about Burnley Man City, I think Burnley have shown they're a great team. The only issue they've had so far is their inability to score.
Yeah.
And that has always been an issue. The past three times they've always gone down and come up. And they thought they were going to have a great season with Zian Fleming. Zian Fleming was the top scorer last season,
Mm-hmm.
down at the championship, and haven't spent because he was in Burnley the previous time they came up. That was 3 seasons ago. He went
Yeah.
down with them, and he became their main striker. He was now their main striker last 2 seasons and last season, where he was. So they had faith in him. If you notice, they didn't really go into the market to buy any striker.
Yeah.
They had to
Yeah. Although they got Amando Broha, sure.
yeah, they got Broha on. No, was it not on loan?
No, no, 20 million from
20.
Chelsea.
Oh wow. Oh, they bought him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
But
button,
well,
the money
Broha is
laundering
not
scheme.
really bro. Broha is not really the kind of striker that you expect to. I was saying that they didn't really go for a major striker. We
Yeah.
won't call Broha such now, and the South African isn't one as well.
Yeah.
Parker
Foster.
Foster, sorry.
They should
Yeah.
have gone for
So
this lead striker. He was available.
Opiro.
Piro.
No, Calvert Lewin.
PCL. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. He was
Okay,
an
yeah,
He was
experienced
Calvert
player.
available.
Lewin.
I think
Yeah,
that's
okay,
an
Calvert Lewin
experienced
from Everton
head.
was available, but Calvert Lewin chose Leeds instead. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for that. So, I mean, City found out how difficult it is to go to Burnley and pick up points from them, especially when they sit back and try to hit you on the transition and counter attack. Well, going forward, um, I would have said the previous City, this would have been like, yeah, like you said, a benchmark. But I really don't see that playing out in the next set of fixtures going forward because it's going to be a very tight game. I believe they have to play Bournemouth as well, and they also
Yeah.
have to play Everton.
Yeah.
And these two teams are gunning for an European position. Had it been that there were no positions to gun for, it probably would have just been a relaxed game by either of them, and City would have waltzed through. But I'm seriously not expecting that. These last 4 game weeks are going to be very exciting. Yeah, City might pick up the points, might because of their caliber, because of the type of team structure they do have, and I expect that they are the bigger team, but it's not going to be as rosy and as easy as people are thinking, as it would
Awesome.
be.
Awesome. So, Doye, let's talk about what City did in January, the signings of Semenyo and Guehi. I think it's fair to say that those two guys really galvanized the squad because they were really struggling in those positions. Especially the likes of Foden and Reinders not really coming to the party. But in recent time, it seems like the goals have dried up for Semenyo. So is it a case of teams now getting used to him or he's just feeling the pressure to perform?
Yeah, I don't think it's either. I don't think it's Tim getting used to him or the pressure. Look, Manchester City. When you look at their fixtures now, you're talking about the goals drying up for City, but they played Liverpool. After they played Liverpool, they played just 3 games since then, and Semenyo did score Liverpool. So for a winger to not score in 3 games, if you're going to chuck it down to pressure, or again, he just scored against Liverpool, and it was a very very good goal. The goal he scored against Liverpool was a goal of a man in with supreme confidence. You understand? The finish was brilliant. So I just think it's just football. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, other times it doesn't. He had Semenyo has still played well for City, irrespective of not getting goals. He still played really well from the right side, and he's a better option than anything that they had. As for Gehi has been very good for City at the back. Very very good for City at the back. When you look at the injuries that City later had, then it actually accentuates how important that signing was because they've been without Guardiola for months now. Closing up
Yeah,
close to
Stones
three
as
months or there now.
well. Diaz too.
Stones has been out. Diaz has been out. Ake has also been in and out. And then I have to give kudos to Kuzanov, who I didn't really think was going to be a very good EPL player. But next to Gay, you understand, he's looked really, really, really good. So, look, January was a turning point for City because you cannot understate the Semenyo and Gay signings. Those guys by themselves, I can tell you that those guys are they've been worth close to 8 points for City since they've been there. Two of them by
Yeah.
themselves. You take two of them out of that City side, it's almost as if you're taking close to 8 points out of that City side. So yeah, it's been very, very, very good for City. The Arsenal fans that were laughing at me that Liverpool messed up the Gay situation. I guess they're no longer laughing right now because I had to mess that up. I had to mess that up for this to happen. So yeah, those two signings have been brilliant for City. It's really giving them the boost that they needed to go on this run. So
Awesome.
hopefully they'll be able to see it out and then win the Premier League.
Well, that you just had to go there. So we have Didi on the chat. Always good to have you, bro. Welcome. So let's go to the next slide, and I'll start with you, Henry, on this one. When Maresca left the club, there was so much drama around who they were going to sign, and eventually the tech bro from Strasbourg, LinkedIn Liam Senior, came on. We saw how he struggled against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, but we didn't know that there was so much more to come in the future. Then there was the amazing run of PSG 5-2, Newcastle at home, PSG 3-0, Everton 3-0, Man City 3-0, Man U 1-0, and Brighton 3-0. Clearly, after 4 months in charge, he has been sent off, and the paper says he's going to get 24 million quid. So the question I have for you, Henry, is was Senior a bad manager for Chelsea? Looking at what Maresca did with them, winning the Conference League, winning the Club World Cup, and Senior coming in instead, why couldn't he continue that form for them? Where did he miss it?
Um, if you ask me as a Chelsea hater, um, as a Chelsea hater, I would say that he's a bad manager. But in reality, if you look at the scale of things, there have been comments from players, especially senior players at the club, or players that are considered to be senior players at the club, that has been suggestive of them downing tools, basically. Enzo Fernandez, for example, I think I
Yeah,
heard him made a statement like, "We're doing well with Maresca," so it was a bit of a
yeah,
surprise,
yeah, yeah. He got him suspended now for a while.
Yeah, so like those kind of comments, and I also read somewhere on a column that some Chelsea players were super. If that, so basically, there's a faction basically in the Chelsea squad, And there's a
Okay.
faction that are kind of saying why are the other part of the team moving on so forward or moving on away from the situation with Maresca so quickly. They should they feel like the team should be united in the protest against why Maresca was sacked.
Okay, the board.
Yes, so it's just indicative. And if you look at the run of results, you're losing 5 or 6 games in a row. And watch if you watch these games, like it literally they were not trying. They were really not putting themselves about. So it just was for me a clear indication that they didn't really want Rosinia in there. One. Secondly, I think they just threw him under the bus. So I personally like him as a manager. I think he has an attractive style of football. But I just don't think that the players were ready to play for him. He was just a victim of circumstance, unfortunately, because I think this is a protest against the board. But I still cannot understand how professionals would go to this extent, because if you're protesting, there are better ways you can do that rather than just downing tools. There are people literally coming in every weekend, buying tickets. And for you as a player, you have the ambition of playing in the Champions League. Next season, there might be nothing for them, next season. And then hearing statements like, "Yeah, I want to join Madrid. I want to have a dream." It's just all messy, right there in Chelsea. So Rosina was just unfortunately a victim of circumstance, but I don't think that he's definitely the cause of the problem, at the club.
Okay, fair enough. So what Chelsea actually made it to the Champions League at the very last day last season, beating Nottingham Forest, and of course other results going their way. But looking at the quality of their squad, can you really classify it as a Champions League kind of team, despite the billion that have been spent on player trading?
Um, so the issue here is generally when we look at the quality of the players in the EPL. Yeah, so I mean, I think teams like Leeds now that just came up from the championship had the same financial had almost the same financial muscle as Chelsea did because of the influx they got from qualifying as group. No, not please, I take that back. Sorry, Sunderland.
Yeah, Sunderland
Sunderland,
playoffs.
sorry, not Leeds. Yeah, they almost had the same financial muscle as Chelsea did. So which means they could go pound for pound with whatever type of player Chelsea was going to buy. Chelsea were in the market for. So it has to do with the quality of teams we have now in the EPL. It's not as easy as it was like 7, 8 years ago when you already had the top four that could purchase the best players, which was why the league title was rotating amongst. It's still rotating right now among the top six now, if you say so. But the gap has gotten shorter. It isn't wide again. So Chelsea, yes, Chelsea. Um, right now, I don't think even Chelsea fans can say what exactly is their plan. Are they building for the future, or are they in the wholesale business of buying to develop and sell later for profit? That is what we don't know right now. So we had expected them to do better this season because they are Chelsea and they are the world champions. So which is how they say it. But it's unfortunate. It hasn't turned out according the way the board had expected, and they've just had this mismanagement with their managers this season. I, for one, still don't understand how they let Maresca leave, but we are not the board, and we can't really say. So our own is just to view from the floor wherein we are. So I should be expecting. I don't think there will be a dash into the market to go get more players. I think they just have to do with what they have right now. But they need a experienced technical coach right now to guide them through. And
Awesome.
this their misadventure with the young lad. You people like to call him tech boss, but I like to respect people. So I'll just prefer to call him the young lad because he's still young. Most of his mates are still playing. football right now.
No, fair
So
enough. Fair enough.
yeah, so it's just a misadventure, and I hope it works out for them soon. Yeah.
Okay, so Doye, let's talk about Brighton. Their last 8 games, they've won 6. They are currently in the running for the Champions League football, and this was a club that sold Joao Pedro for big bucks and didn't really replace him. So, how good of a job has Fabio Hosseler done with his new signings that have kind of not been world beaters, but they've been efficient enough to do the business?
Yeah, I have to give kudos to the Brighton manager, and partly because this, this is one of the times whereby there isn't really a standout, like a standout player within the
Player,
Brighton
yeah.
setup.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been a team, like it's been a team effort. Before you had times when you looked at, okay, when they had Caicedo, you said, okay, this one. There was a period when Mitoma was really playing at a level that you felt like, okay, Mitoma was going to move on to one of the top
The
clubs.
bigger clubs, yeah.
But for Yeah, but for now, the team seems really balanced, and then he has the ability, or they have the luxury of chopping and changing and still remaining a very, very good side. Look, when they played Liverpool, going into the game, I expected to get this. Knowing the situation around Liverpool and everything, I knew that it was going to be a very, very tough game to go away to Brighton. So I give kudos to the Brighton manager. He's done a really good job. He's managed Welbeck. He's not just saying that, okay, Welbeck is, you're scoring, so you have to play every game, play every minute because of his age. He's in, he's out. So the manager has done really well for Brighton as a whole. Hopefully they get to keep him, and they don't sell, some of his key
Key
players.
players,
When
yeah.
you look at, yeah, the one that people were believing was going to leave was Baleba. But again, even when you watch them when Baleba hasn't been in the team, they still managed, you understand, to be a very, very good side without him. So he's even a loss that if they get good money for him, and with the way Brighton recruits, you understand, they can
Yeah.
use it, to take the next step forward. They've been a really good side this season in the Premier League. Very difficult to play against. So kudos to the manager.
Yeah, I agree. So, Henry, let's go to the next fixture. This was the
Can
game
I
between.
yeah
Want to
can I
watch something? Please go
yes,
ahead.
can I
Go ahead.
this Brighton structure is one that we should really commend very well. I don't think we're giving them enough commendation. I think they are the best organized structure in the EPL. They don't have titles yet, sha, but they're working towards it because their last 3 managers have all been success. If you start from Graham Potter, he was a success. He left the team. He went to Chelsea, only for Chelsea to mess him up. The next thing we have the Zerbi.
Yeah.
Success to left the team only for Marseille and Co to mess him up. Now we're looking at the
Hustler.
German hustler, the German right now. I mean, the next time when he leaves Brighton and goes somewhere else, probably might also be messed up as well. But I mean, that's Brighton has a structure, and they stick with what they have, which is what other teams need to look into. Chelsea left their structure. They had this structure during the era of Abramovich, but right now they have departed from it and tried other things, which is why they are which is why they are struggling with the way they have with can't get the right term now. But all I'm trying to say is I'm very impressed with how Brighton have been able to carry themselves. Like Joye said, there is no star player. They all play team football. They each know their advantages, each player's performances, advantages and disadvantages, and they stick to it. And that must be something we should commend them about. Yeah, I'm done.
I
Yeah,
think
hello,
Anthony has
Enigma. Are you there?
responded.
Yeah, okay. As we're waiting for him, I just want to chime in about this tech bro. You
Mm.
understand? What do you call him? Bruce Enio. From the beginning,
LinkedIn
I just
Liam.
believed it was never. I believe it was never going to work. You understand? Somebody that, as a footballer, he played towards the bottom half of the table. He wasn't really a big player for a team towards the bottom half of the table. He was just a squad player. For you to bring him to a team like Chelsea, where you have those kinds of characters in the dressing room, like basically bigger players than he ever was as a footballer. As a manager, he hadn't done much as a manager, considering also you're coming from Strasbourg. So when you walk in through the door, you don't have a lot of cachet with these players. They are all looking at you like you come in and you're telling. Let me say, for example, now if they train twice, you now want them to start training 3 times. A player like Palmer is looking at you and asking, like, maybe why do you have me doing this extra work and things like that. So again, it was going to be very easy for the players to, if you want to call it down tools or whatever it is they want to call it, it was going to be very, very easy for that to happen to him. But because from the onset, I just felt like he was never at Real Madrid when what made Zidane successful at Real Madrid, I believe, was because of what he did as a footballer, more so than what he did as a manager. What he did as a footballer gave him the ability to instruct those world class players. Because when a manager is telling you something, look, it's Zidane that is telling you to do this way. He's been there. He's won at this level. So when he instructs you, it comes with. But when you now look at this Rosenio, I just felt like from the onset the job was too big for him, and then the blue core, whatever their names, didn't really factor that in to play when they were giving him the job. It was just a disaster from the get go. So yeah,
Yeah, but to counter your point though, I see the idea behind, but I mean, there've been also really fantastic world-class players that haven't worked out to become good managers.
True.
For example, take a look at Frank Lampard at Chelsea. He is true Chelsea, but he was there and he couldn't get the job done.
Take a look at the
no,
whole
but what I'm
Man
saying,
United squad that won 8 titles. The whole lot of them too. Or else
no,
you don't
So
give them.
see what I'm saying.
partly, I
Some
understand.
No, we get your point
some
to
some
Joye. We are not
weakness.
countering. I'm not countering your point. I'm just saying it's neither
Yeah,
here or there.
No,
it's not like it's not a
but
rule.
no, but it's not a rule. But where have you seen in football? So which big team has really taken on a manager like, because if Rosenio was not in the setup of Bluco, like if he wasn't, like if Bluco didn't own Strasbourg, if they didn't own Strasbourg, there's no way they are looking at him with respect to the job at Chelsea. If they didn't own Strasbourg, so you can look at the landscape of football. You don't just pop up from nowhere. When you also, as a footballer, you also didn't have that kind of that you didn't play at that level to just come and get this kind of job at Chelsea. Now, remember, if it's someone like John Terry, you can say, okay, he's been in Chelsea, he knows the way, the Chelsea system and things like that. So he has at least something, With Frank Lampard, there was at least that aspect. But with Rosenio, and another big issue there was Maresca didn't leave the club because Maresca was a bad manager. Maresca left the club because he had differences with the higher ups. So what that means is that at the point where Maresca was leaving the club, Maresca himself and the Chelsea players, if you see their comments, they were already aligned with his vision. Like on the pitch, it was not an issue. The Chelsea players had bought into Maresca. And that's why, as the whole thing happened, that's why you have players like Enzo and Cucurella. A manager that has left, you're still within the season. You're now discussing about the impact of that manager leaving. It tells you a lot. So Rosenio was put in an impossible situation. But I guarantee you this: had they brought in a manager like maybe a Klopp or a Zidane, one of those bigger managers, it would have been easier for the players to be like, okay, no problem. Maresca is leaving. We can buy into this because this is this manager's CV. But you just go and you bring in a manager that, as a player, these players are playing at a higher level than him. As a manager, he hasn't really done anything.
It was the same thing with Maresca too. Now he didn't really have also a great career. It wasn't really a world-class player.
I mean, Mourinho didn't really play football too. Now he began as an interpreter. to Brian Robson.
Again, you know, again,
S-
levels.
I know.
Where
I get
where
what
is
you're
it?
saying. I'm not counting. I'm just saying it
Uh,
is. It's yeah. It's yeah or there, and so I mean, it was unfortunate for what's his name, the Sierra Leonean. It was just unfortunate for him. So I would say I would say they didn't give him enough time, and you know
Definitely.
how it is with APL. There is just so much. I mean, there is just so much. There is so much. The level of intensity is so much in APL. It's way different from what we have in
But you see
Mhm.
the issue with time. Chelsea were actually going to give him time, but it is very very telling that the manager got sacked, and no Chelsea player came out to almost like wish him well or thank him and things like that. Where I knew that he had a problem was when after the game, after one of their, I think their most recent loss before this game, where he came out and spoke about how the players didn't run enough, how they didn't run enough, and then now you're now having a. It now felt like he was having a personal go at the players. Some players didn't run enough. Now remember, what I'm saying to you is virtually every single player on that pitch is playing at a level that Liam Rousseau never played at. So they're almost looking
Yeah,
at it like, who are you? Who are you to tell me that I didn't like? What do you know about competing at this level? And these Chelsea
yeah,
players have had success at this level to an extent. You understand? So when you look at it like that, the moment he said it, the moment he took that personal that shot, you had was it Chaluba also come to the press and said we ran enough. It was not about the running. Once you have that kind of conflicting messages coming out from the dressing room between a manager and players,
yeah.
just know
You're
that there's
done.
serious problem in that.
Yeah.
So when immediately he left, I wasn't surprised at that point.
Yeah, yeah, because it kind
And
of
then
reminds me of Van der Ven and Tudor, the same type of vibe that happened on the pitch as well. So sorry guys, my internet just flipped off. I'm really glad that you guys were
Yeah.
holding it for while I was out. But there's a couple of chats in the comments. We have Max Nedu, my guy, gets the likes up. Then of course we have Charlie Holmes, who just stumbled across this great podcast. Good to have you, bro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. So guys, I think we've cooked enough for Brighton and Chelsea. Let's go to the next one. And
Okay.
what you I will start with you on this. This was the
Hmm.
Leeds and Bournemouth. So Bournemouth is a team that actually also aiming for Europe, and we also heard the news that Anthony Iraola is about to leave for greener pastures in the future. But Leeds is another team that has had their struggles, and we're really fighting hard to see how they can make it for Premier League survival. What was your take on this game that ended 2-2 between Leeds and Bournemouth?
Yeah, it was a very exciting game, and funny enough, I did tell some of my friends that I was expecting a 2-2 goal scoreline. I didn't tell the group the where we are, but I told some of my friends outside social media that I'm expecting this to be a very tight game. That they're going to play out the 2-2 scoreline, and eventually that's what happened. I was not expecting a winner in it. Yeah, so Bournemouth, they're a very impressive team. I like their units. They have a youthful blend, youthful attack and midfield, and then experienced hands at the back. And they just have these basic players who I would say just players, just your regular players. Teams. I mean, I would also say yes. And let me bring this to mind. Bournemouth is another team that has another perfect structure in place, but
Yeah,
they are second. I would say they are second to Brighton in this case because if you crop the same players Bournemouth have and paste them in teams like Burnley and Wolves, it's not going to be any different. Probably by now we'd be looking at them going down going back to Championship. But this Bournemouth team, I like their flair. And like I said, they have these tough fixtures coming up with City and I think Liverpool in the horizon. and they're also looking to
Yeah, they
play
have
Europe.
Crystal Palace, Fulham, City, and Nottingham Forest.
Okay, Crystal, yeah. So they have to play Palace and they have to play City, two very tough opponents, and they're looking at going to Europe themselves. And I believe they would get into Europe. I honestly believe Bournemouth will
Yeah,
get into Europe. So they are a
that
very
was
good
that was
team.
certainly be like a good goodbye gift for Miraola.
Yes. And Leeds. It took Leeds time to get into their groove in the league, and they found their groove, and they are now doing excellently well. In fact, they're probably the only team that's probably played Manchester United at Old Trafford and outplayed them right there in their home. Yeah,
Yeah.
they went to Old Trafford and outplayed them. If you notice, the loss self wasn't. It didn't even hit my United fans because they felt that yes, the Leeds team that came is totally outplayed us and they deserved a victory despite the red card to Martinez. Yeah. So Bournemouth Leeds was a very exciting game, and they as fair as football would have been, there were no victors, just shared points. And I expect more games to finish up like that too, because we're entering into a very crunchy last set of games for most teams.
Okay, so Doye,
Yeah.
going into the running, Tottenham, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, and Leeds were the teams that were earmarked for potential relegation alongside Burnley and Wolves. But now that Leeds are currently on 40 points and just 6 points ahead of Tottenham, is it fair to say that they are safe, or do you think they still need a couple of more results to guarantee it?
I think they do need a couple of results to guarantee it, because this last weekend was it was something to behold. We at a point we felt like Nottingham, them not even Leeds. Now we felt like, oh, Nottingham maybe on 39 points, 39 points they were done with the relegation battle, and then West Ham and Tottenham proceeded to win. Now, when you look at the quality,
Yeah,
yeah, when you look at the quality of the teams currently battling relegation, we've talked about it in this podcast for a while that virtually all the teams in the relegation zones outside Burnley and Wolves, they have decent quality within their ranks. All of
yeah,
them. You know,
yeah,
when you
yeah,
look at West Ham, I said at that point that you look at West Ham with a player. Once you have a player like Bowen in your forward line, there are goals in that forward line and there's creativity in that forward line. You can hurt anybody in the Premier League. Same thing with Nottingham Forest that have Morgan Gibbs-White, who is playing really well
Gibbs
now,
White.
and Spurs. So again, it and with 4 games left, I wouldn't be surprised to see either West Ham or Tottenham pick up scrape 2 victories. You understand? And if they do scrape two victories, then it starts becoming a problem for these, considering these would have had to drop some points. Their goal difference goes in one direction, while the other ones are coming to catch them. So I just feel like for Leeds United, maybe a win, one win should be enough for them to be safe. Where they are now, they could be safe, but again, this season, the teams chasing them, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the teams go on some sort of run to end the season. So
Yeah,
just to be
yeah,
safe.
and that funny thing to note is that in their last 4 games, Leeds are going to play both Tottenham and West Ham, both away.
Oh, so you see,
So yeah,
again, if you end up losing those 2 games both away, that suddenly drops Tottenham on 37 points and drops West Ham on 39 points. So now
yeah,
again, it's too close for comfort. They actually need or but as bad as it gets, maybe pick a draw
Pick
from,
up draws.
most likely, yeah, pick up a draw from Tottenham, especially to, like, don't get beat by Tottenham or West Ham. That could be the way for them.
fair enough.
Don't lose those games.
Oh, oh, okay, so Harry, this summer they lost Zabani, Bournemouth lost Zabani, Bournemouth lost Denhausen, Bournemouth lost Milos Kekes. In January, they also lost Antoine Semenyo. These were like the very key components of their squad. But seeing them in seventh place and the replacements that have come for them, how well do you think they've blended to make up for the big players that they have lost initially? And how big of a miss Iraola be for them when he finally departs this summer?
Definitely, Iraola is the heart and soul of the team. I mean, you can see in terms of the tactical blueprints, the ideas he has. And I mean, it was also evident when he was in La Liga that he was a very good, tactical manager, and that's something that I admire about this La Liga managers. They're really, really tactically adept. But in terms of the season, I admit I did tip Bournemouth to go down, especially with the way they started the season, with all of their I think their defensive pairing were sold in the summer. So I didn't see them, navigating through this season. And to be fair, they started the season, it was kind of with high scoring games, but somehow I think midpoint towards the January till March, I think they found a way to not concede a lot of goals, and they've been on an amazing run. I think in the last 2 months or so in the Premier League. So definitely, Iraola has exceeded my expectations. And Bournemouth has really developed as a team this season. If they're able to maintain that next season, especially with him not being there anymore, that would be depending on whoever they bring in, and they have to look at the caliber of players and the way the team plays right now, just go all out and look for a manager that plays in a similar way to the way he does, because I think his tactics, kind of suit the way the players they have currently. So it's a big summer for Bournemouth. If they finish in Europe, I don't know if that's going to be an advantage for them next season, considering the struggle with Iraola going to be out, and it's probably going to be a big one for them. So they have to get it right this summer. Otherwise, it might just be a really difficult season next year for them.
Okay. Okay, so just trying to quickly look at the best of the rest. And Macho, we'll start with you here. Nottingham Forest started the campaign terribly after Edu and Nuno Espirito Santo had that clash. Nuno was sacked. Then they brought in Ange Koglu, who was basically the opposite of Nuno. And of course, he was sacked. And they brought in Sean Dyche, who was supposed to come and play sit-down football for them, but he got sacked too because he was really languishing in relegation waters. Wonder Vitor Pereira, the manager who was sacked too this season too. They've been unbeaten in their last 8 games. They're in the Europa League semi-finals against Aston Villa, and it seems that they're going to guarantee their safety. What was your take on the 5-0 demolition of Sunderland at the Stadium of Light?
So I was I was reading somewhere where um, the what is it, the director of defense or whatever it is they call him, some guy that was in charge of the defense formation in Sunderland was sacked in the month of January. Yeah, and because it began with Sunderland were among the third best defense from the beginning of the season to the month of January, and they let the guy go, and suddenly they are the worst defense. They have the worst defense now from January to date.
Mm.
Yeah, because the sudden slump in Sunderland has been an issue. They luckily they began so well, and I think that has been their
Serious.
coping.
Saving grace.
Yes, so they started so well. They had the second best defense to Arsenal, and suddenly now they have the worst defense. I don't think lots of people expected Middlesbrough. What am I expected Forest to hit them by 5 goals to nil.
Yeah.
Yeah, we expected the loss, probably 2-1 or 3-1, but not 5 goals, and to be shut out in itself. I think at this point now, Sunderland are just wobbling and fumbling to the finish line right now. And Forest in itself, yeah, good thing their top striker from last season is back, and he boosted his confidence with a well taken goal on
Mhm.
Friday. So I expect them to push further. Their fixtures also look so tight, but combining with this UEFA. So now the problem I'm going to have is this last 3, 4 weeks now, game weeks that they have now. It's going to be a very tight situation for them.
Mhm.
I expect them to come through it. They're in the semi-finals of the
Europa League.
Europa Cup, and they're facing Aston Villa. And on
Aston
paper,
Villa, Chelsea, Man United, and Bournemouth.
Okay. So, and on paper now, Aston Villa is the bigger team in Europa right now. So they are going to be the underdogs for most of the games that they are going to be playing right now. And Forest tends to thrive when they are the underdogs in itself because they always like to sit back and try to hit you in transitional play.
Yeah.
So it's not like we are doing any staking right now, but I just think Forest might scrape through against Villa, scrape through.
Okay, we just lost Matthew. Or is it just me?
No,
Yeah, I
we
think
lost
we've
him.
lost him.
Okay, so he will come back later. Okay, so Doye, let's talk about Aston Villa for a little bit. Naimery's form have been quite sketchy, but luckily I think they've done enough to still maintain their place in the Champions League, being even that they have an 8 point gap ahead of Brighton with 4 games to go. Well, what's your take on Aston Villa's performances in the Premier League this season?
Again, Villa has been a team that when they've been bad, they've been bad. When they've been good, they've been good. In sports where they've struggled, Villa they've struggled. In sports where they've been good, they've been good. I remember to start off the season, I think Aston Villa, they started off the season, did they lose their first 5 games or something like that? They were very poor to start off the season.
No, they didn't score at all. They're just losing and drawing.
Yeah, exactly. So to start off the season, they were very poor, and then they now went on a very
That 12 game
spectacular run.
run. Mm-hmm.
Yes, whereby and before you blink, suddenly it looked like Villa they were in a quote unquote title
Title
race
race.
with Arsenal, and then they fell off, and then they fell off really badly again. But look, with Aston Villa, you understand, this season was about making
Sorry,
it back into the Champions League.
sorry, I got on a call. Apologies.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So with Aston Villa again, this season was about getting back in the league, for them. Considering how they were in the Champions League last season, they actually pushed PSG.
To the
They had
limit.
it was a very close quarterfinal tie against PSG, and the way they crumbled to end the season, losing the Champions League spot on the last day of the season. The heartbreak of that. To come back and make Champions League football would have been good enough, you understand, for the Villa faithfuls. And we have a point gap over Brighton. I think they will do just that. You get with Villa, they still have to play Liverpool. Their fixtures are not very like again. They still have to play.
Man City,
I think they play
Tottenham,
City. They play
Liverpool.
Nottingham Forest. They play again. So virtually all the games, are going to be, and their away form isn't also very good. They go away to Burnley,
Yeah.
which they normally ideally feel they should win, but it's away from home. You understand? Anything can happen. So for Villa, you understand, the luck they have is they've given themselves. I believe they've given themselves enough
Buffer.
cushion
Yeah.
to enough buffer to succeed. But overall, going back to the Champions League, that has to be enough for the Villa titles.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Henry, let's talk about the Reds, the current defending champion that are no longer in the shuffle. But it was good to see Alexander Isak score his first goal at Anfield in the Premier League. Apparently, there was a word that Isak had scored more goals for Newcastle at Anfield than in Liverpool. But I think now that Ekitike is out injured for a long time, he's now coming into his own. How would you grade his campaign after coming from £130 million from Newcastle?
Disappointing. It's just, you should put one word to it. Unfortunately, no fault of his that he didn't have a preseason, but also I think the way he went about it wasn't really the best way. Especially knowing that you're angling for a move and you refuse to train with the team. I don't know whoever his advisors were at that point. But it wasn't really the best move. He didn't have a preseason. As a result of that, was going to always struggle, in the season. He hasn't gotten really up to fitness and then he had this nasty injury, and he's been out for about 3 months. But I think I see potential in him, going forward, especially next season with Ekitike. I don't know how long he's going to be out. Is there any reports?
Yeah,
I should be at least 8 months out at least.
10 months or thereabouts.
10 months. Okay,
10
so
months.
Ekitike
Yep.
might be out for the entirety of even next season if um in best case scenario. So I think with him as the focal man next season, I think there's a bit of hope. It's not a bad player. He hasn't turned into a bad player overnight, but there's just been a lot of circumstances around this situation. But then in regards to the game yesterday, for Liverpool, it wasn't really the best of performances. And they scored 2 goals, I would say, against the run of play, because Palace were really peppering, the goal on the other end, and there was this breakaway, and Liverpool had the first and the second goal, and there was just no way back from it. But I don't know, there are a lot of questions to be answered for Arne Slot and this Liverpool team. I don't know how they would navigate, and it's a very dicey situation. It's almost like the situation where Manchester United were in, with Eric Ten Hag, going into the summer. It's a case of that this manager has not been good enough. There's not been great signs. However, you're willing to hold on to him just based on the fact that he has done something in the past. If you hold on to Arne Slot and you sack him in October or in November, should the results not improve, where do you go from there? Sacking a manager, especially in a club like Liverpool, in October, November, most likely points to the fact that you're not going to be competing for any major honors in that season. So if you're getting rid of him in the summer, you have a chance to rebuild and you have a chance to start, to compete from the start. I don't think Arne Slot has what it takes to move Liverpool, back into competing, and winning the Premier League and big titles again. Because I think it has been evident for anyone that has watched Liverpool in the last 12 months. I think from January last year, maybe I would even go as far as 14 months. It's crystal clear that the football has not been good enough, and you're willing to stick with him just because of the fact that he won the Premier League, when the evidence has been there for the last 12 to 14 months that he's not good enough on this job. So big questions to be asked for, big questions to be answered, for Liverpool in this summer.
Okay, so before I go to Doye on this, I'm just hopeful, I'm just happy that Henry is not a board owner, because in this stream he has already sacked Ateta and he has sacked Slot at the same time. So let's go to the chats for a couple of comments. We have Okeoga, one of the regulars. Good to have you, bro. So there is a player that total encapsulation didn't see it coming, but he said that, but for Isaac, it's an unfortunate injury, nothing to evaluate. He has to be evaluated next season, which is fair. And he says, let's hope the injury reduced time will not affect his form. So, Doye, as a Liverpool fan, you're giving your honest take on Arne Slot and a case for him to stay or leave this summer.
I think, to be fair, Arne Slot, there's a case for him to stay, there's a case for him to leave.
Okay.
You understand? The case for him to leave is, like Henry said, if you look at Liverpool, from the fixture around when Liverpool played PSG last season,
Okay.
you understand? From when they played PSG last season, the first leg against PSG was one of the worst performances I've ever seen from the Liverpool side.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I
They
don't know how
won
they
the
won
game.
that
Came
game.
away with a
Man.
1-0 win.
Yes, they
Yeah.
won 1-0, but the game could have easily been 5 or 6. And so now it was the game itself was telling because of how they approached the game. And when I listened to Slot during all that period, Slot was he's very practical. When Liverpool are winning, he's very practical. When results are not going his way, he comes across as being very deluded, which is what has me torn. So at that point, Liverpool were still winning. You get? I watched that game. You could see clearly that Gravenberch was a big problem for Liverpool in midfield because he doesn't want the ball. You understand? The game got very tight. He didn't want the ball again. The way he plays, you understand, teams have found him out when he played the pivot. You understand? They don't press Gravenberch again. You give him the ball, you let him hold the ball. He turns, he's confused. He cannot really pass from the pivots. You know, again, all those so many issues. Now, those were issues I felt like, okay, Slot will be able to identify and find a way around. However, since that point up until now, he hasn't. When people watch Liverpool, they talk about how poor the Liverpool defense is this season. If you look at goals considered in the Premier League, I think Liverpool have like the seventh or eighth best defense in the league. I think like the eighth best defense or seventh best defense in the league, which isn't ideal. But when you hear them talk about the Liverpool defense, you think they're worse off than that. When you toss on the fact that they have the eighth worst defense in the league, but you can pick individuals that you can argue, like if you're picking a Premier League worst team for the season, you can argue that Kekes makes that team, you can argue that Konate makes that team. Yet this is still where the defense is. So clearly there's room for improvement, you understand, that will help the whole team, you understand, go up. Nobody envisaged Salah dropping off the way Salah dropped off.
Yeah.
It's not 100% on the manager, because it was still under this same manager that Salah had his best ever season in a Liverpool shirt.
True.
And Salah came out and attributed that fact to the manager, that the manager made tweaks that helped him out last season. So, like I said, this season has been poor. However, at the same time, this is a manager that ended up winning the Premier League without making any signings. As much as we give Klopp, a lot of people try to give Klopp a lot of credit for winning the league, Slot still has to take most of the credit, because when you watch the Liverpool team, he made some key changes that helped Liverpool become what they became. Klopp was never going to play Gravenberch as a four. He preferred Endo in that role. He preferred Endo, and Gravenberch was one of the reasons that Liverpool won the league. Slot would rather play Gakpo as the centre forward and Diaz from left. Slot switched them around. The way Slot also used the fullbacks, he didn't let them bomb forward like Klopp normally did. So he had something to do with Liverpool winning the league. If, as a manager, you can coach any team to win the Premier League, there is, to an extent, a good manager inside there. What that means is, if you give this manager the right players, he can do something. However, there are some managers that they don't necessarily need the right players to be able to tweak and be relevant. That is now where I fall slow from, because he has not been able to find internal solutions since the Gravenberch situation. So now there's a case for him to go. When you look at the season from late last season up until this season, the form, look at the amounts that Liverpool spent.
Yeah.
Although, yes, so that is where the main problem is coming from, the amount that Liverpool spent. But considering he won the league just last season, this season again, Liverpool are probably going to finish in the Champions League spots. There's now still a case that, okay, they can, reinvest, most especially in midfield, in defense, you understand, and then see how the whole thing plays out. Liverpool have also been very, very unlucky to an extent with injuries, you understand. They've been unlucky with injuries. The whole Isak and Ekitike stuff in attack, the whole right back. Frimpong was a player that rarely ever got injured. Suddenly he's always injured. You understand? So many things, you understand, that have happened around the club. I'm not one of those people that are going to bring up the Diogo Jota issue. I don't believe in all those ones. I believe that the team have already been playing poorly before Jota even passed, because it started from last season. So there's a case for both. Me personally, my personal preference would be him leaving, and then bringing in a manager. Why I want Alonso is simply because I've seen Alonso do it with Florian Wirtz. I know he knows how to use Jeremy Frimpong. Alonso can come in, you understand? And yeah, so that's it, you understand, for me. I'd rather have to switch to Alonso. However, even if they stick with Slot, you can see why a board would want to stick with him. I make no mistake. When it comes to the whole hiring and then signing and all those things, the Liverpool people, they do a lot of what is their analytics and things
Yeah.
like that. I at the point when Slot was hired, I read the article that led to them, you understand, hiring Slot. They actually ruled out Ruben Amorim for the reason because of his play at the back and this and that and that. You understand? Things that when he came to Man, you played out. So you can see
Yeah.
clearly that the people that are hiring at Liverpool, they know what they are doing. However,
Okay.
I'm on the fence with this. But you
Okay.
can make cases for both.
No, that's fair. Okay, Watching. Let's go to the next fixture. West Ham. Right now, Nuno is basically walking a tightrope and he's basically at loggerhead with Spurs and Nottingham Forest and Leeds for the final slot in the Premier League. Do you think that with the way West Ham has played, some of the results that results have won where they end up in draws might just come back to bite them and then be the 18th team to go alongside Burnley and Wolves?
Um, I think West Ham. If I should juxtapose West Ham and Spurs, I would say West Ham are the grittier team.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say they might just be the team that will survive ahead of Spurs. And I would say this because Spurs so far have been unlucky, and they are going to have that follow them. And they're going to, because their fixtures are slightly much more tougher than that of West Ham in itself. And I
Mm,
would say the effort West Ham put in getting past Everton, and you know how tough Everton can be, must be very commendable. So I just feel for Spurs right now. Forest has picked up form. West Ham have picked up form, and it's just so unfortunate now that Spurs has not been able to match how their fellow co
relegation battler.
co relegation battlers have been faring. They just haven't been able to match it up. So I'm expecting West Ham to stay beyond this season. I really
Okay.
do think they would, because of one, their current state right now. They have better points than Spurs, and the run of fixtures also suits them in itself. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so Henry, you've been an Arsenal fan to talk about Tottenham. They won their first game ever in 2026, and at least they're giving themselves some level of hope in their battle to survive the drop. But how certain are you that they're going to go down?
Fortunately, I saw this game in real time, so I don't think it wasn't a great performance, from Spurs. But again, the 3 points at this stage of the season, it's just the most important. But I think with the injuries they have currently, I don't see how they navigate. But on the other hand, for the entirety of my life, I've seen sports in the Premier League. It's hard to fathom that they're going to go down. Considering that they've been in the Champions League. Played. Really, really. In the last 20 years, I think they've been. They have a reason. Why they're also included in the Big Six. But it's just difficult for me to come to terms, that they're gonna go down. But the more I watch this team, and every time I see them, they have a fixture, I feel like, yeah, at some point they're gonna rack up the wins. But every time I watch them, I genuinely feel like they're gonna go down. And watching them against Wolves, I was literally petrified, and especially with West Ham, winning at the other end, but somehow they found a way to score. And again, there's just a part of me that believes that West Ham or Nottingham Forest are going to go down rather than Spurs. But in reality, if you watch these three teams right now, Spurs are looking like the most likely to go down.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like they just might stay up for whatever reason. I don't know, but it's just a feeling I have. It's a conviction, but I'm not really certain. But when I see this team play, they look like definitely they're gonna go down.
Okay, so Doye, finally, let's review the outstanding fixture. Man United has really done well under Carrick. They struggled terribly with Gan Amorim, got in a good run of results that seems like they are going to guarantee a Champions League spot. So, do you think, on the back of the performance he has done since he joined the club in January, should he retain this job? Or should Man United go out there and sign a Nagelsmann or a Fabregas or whoever?
Look, Carrick has done a very good job, you understand, at Manchester United. But personally, I believe they should go out there and try to get a proven top class manager. It shouldn't be lost on anybody the fact that Manchester United, they have quality in that squad. They have quality. Cunha, Nguemo, they were doing what Semenyo was doing this season, last season. They brought in Sesko for a very big amount. Bruno Fernandes is still a top player. Casemiro has looked really good this season.
Yeah.
In part because, and it shouldn't be lost on anybody, Manchester United play one game a week. They played 40 games this season. They lost in the first round of the Carabao Cup, in the first round of the FA Cup. 40 games this season. It's
Yeah.
really small. For context, Martin Zubimendi has played 50 games for Arsenal
Yeah.
this season.
Yeah.
So he's basically, so Manchester United are going to play 40 games. They are currently on 35. Zubimendi has played right now 15 more football games than Manchester United has at this point in the season. So the Man U players are always going to be rested. They're going to be fresh. We know what it's like when a top team doesn't have Champions League commitment or Europa League commitment. They are
Yeah.
usually very, very dangerous in the league because they don't often get to spend. There was a period where a team brought in a manager, you understand, during mid-season, and then they were talking about the amount of time that they've actually spent training, like the kind of work they do in preseason. Most top teams don't have that luxury because you're playing weekend for, you're
Traveling.
playing
Yeah.
midweek, you're traveling, things like that. You understand? It's all. They said that the Manchester United player, the squad, they've not flown charter this season because all their games have been in England, bus to all the stadiums and back. So
Yeah.
again, no, but so when you look at it like that, they are going to be fresh. They're going to be rested for every single game that they're playing. So
Yeah.
you can now not just take the performance itself and say next season this is what is going to be replicated. You don't know how they are going to this same team, how they are going to cope when they have the midweek commitment and things like that. So yeah, personally for me, I believe that Manchester United, they should, if you can get a really, really top manager, you do go out and you get a really, really top manager. Because there's a difference between being good, being very good, and then being like excellent, like competing at
Elite.
that high
Yeah.
level with Arsenal and City.
Yeah.
So for me,
Awesome.
I believe that United, if they can get a new manager, they should.
Okay, so Matthew, you're a Man U fan, so I'd like to get your honest opinion on the same question I asked to you.
Um, I'm not the view we should get a new manager. I'm really not of the view. The, I think most teams have forgotten or are trying to let go with the term rebuilding. I think we as Man United fans should start accepting the fact that we are in the rebuilding process. So there's really no rush. That we have lost our structure. The structure we had when we won 7 titles in the span of 10 years. I believe, or span of 11 years. So let Carrick do the job. I never was in the Carrick bandwagon. No, let me get this out first. But so far, he has been able to prove us beyond doubt that he can do the job.
Yeah.
Let us give him a season and see what will happen. Let him get the players that he wants and let us work with that. There's really no hurry, if you ask me. I'm more of the rebuilding process. If it's going to take us 2 or 3 years to get to the point that we can vie for the premiership, fine by me.
Yeah.
We can be patient.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
but
this kind of feels like how Arteta was when he just joined Arsenal before he now
yeah,
took us to where we are right now.
yes, exactly. So there's absolutely no hurry. We haven't been this stable in how many years? We haven't been this stable right now. That's the team, the cohesion in the team. We haven't been this stable in how many years? So let us, I mean, what's the hurry to get a new manager? And for what? Why are we, I mean, let us work with this, see how it will be next season. Then we can now move on from there. So that's just my opinion. I really do not, I'm not after a brand new manager. Why are we trying to spend money and bring in a brand new manager? We really don't need that now.
Okay,
So
that
yeah,
was
so that's my view.
awesome. So we're gonna go to the surprise of the week. So Matthew, you're having your debut to this channel. What we'll do here is that the panelists will tell us what surprised them in the game week. It can be a fixture, it can be a scoreline, it can be a moment. So I'll let Doye and Henry speak before you get to yours so you can think through what you're going to say. So Doye, being the OG, what's your surprise of the week?
The surprise has to be Forest dismantling the way they dismantled Sunderland. You know, it was I was actually really really surprised. You know, I wasn't seeing the game, so I was on my phone and then I looked left. I was doing something and I went back to the phone and I said, "Oh, they had scored." So one of the prompts had come up. You understand
Yeah.
that Forest had scored. So when I just like pulled out the pop up, I saw 4. I was like, "Wait, they scored 4." You know,
In the
I was
first
really
half
surprised.
now.
Like, oh, they scored 4. You know, so again, I saw the first one, then I left it. Then I was doing something and I just saw the pop up. You know, I just checked one FPL kind of people that shows me the goal scorer and the assist person.
Yeah,
So it just and
yeah.
then it shows, and I'm seeing 4-0, and I'm like, from it to where Forest a way to just because Sunderland, you know, not ideally it's a very difficult place to go. It's a very difficult ground to go. You understand? And Forest struggling relegation and everything. So for me, that was the surprise of the week.
Awesome. Henry?
Yeah, that's a good shout. But I think I would lean towards the City game. I did expect a whitewash in
Against
that
Burnley,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, and for me it was very surprising, especially after 5 minutes. Haaland getting that goal. It was the stage was set. The rebounds were out, and the bride just didn't show up. Um, yeah. So I think personally for me that was the bigger surprise of the week. But I mean, 5-0 is also it's a good shout.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Okay, so Matthew, you have the hang of it. So what's your surprise of the week?
I would say the surprise of the week should have been Arsenal not scoring more goals against Newcastle.
Oh,
Because
really?
I was expecting them to make a statement
Oh.
against, yeah. I mean, Joy has taken the Forest stones. I really had to go and look for something else.
No.
But
There's no harm in repeating what someone has said.
You
no,
can
no,
still
no, no,
think the
no,
same.
no, no. So yeah, so I was expecting Arsenal to make a bold statement and yeah, demolish
Yeah,
Newcastle because they were really
especially
on a
because of
slump. Yeah,
and the
so
way the Premier League is, you know, goal
yeah,
difference may come into it. Goal difference
Yeah.
exactly.
may come into it.
Just
Yeah,
So
win
it
so
was
first.
Yeah,
so
goal
that
difference,
so
yes,
that
but
was a
win
surprise
first
to me
first.
that they only scored one early in the first half and that's how we ended. I was expecting at least 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess New.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
fair enough.
Newcastle have not been very good now. Newcastle haven't been very hard. They haven't been really good. Well,
Yeah,
so
but
to
then
Arsenal.
again, but
Arsenal has
obviously, now,
also not been good.
yeah, but you could see the difference. As soon as Havertz got injured and Gyökeres came into the pitch, it was like it was over. Gyökeres was just
There was-
non-existent. His only highlight was that time that Pope tackled him outside the box.
you guys have to pick a struggle. Is Gyökeres is it top?
Hmm?
Is it top? Is it good? Or isn't he good? You have somebody say, "Oh, Gyökeres is this," and then Arsenal fans are coming for him that he has scored more goals than the other signings. Is this? Is this? Is that? And then now you're now coming on the other hand to complain that the moment Gyökeres came on, our team we couldn't really function. So which is it? You understand? Pick a struggle. Let us know where we are sending.
Yeah, no, but it's both of them. You can't really pick a struggle in that regard, bro. In all honesty, at least you watch him every week, and you also watch him too, so you know what we're saying.
I,
So
I, I personally don't. I don't rate Gyökeres like that. You understand? I don't rate Gyökeres like that personally. I feel like he's too. I feel like from all the top players that came into the Premier, the top strikers that came into the Premier League, he'll be the last that I'm going to pick
Least is
because
the least talented.
yes, for
Yeah,
me, yeah, because he's too. For me, he's too clunky. That's the word I use.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you see, the chance he had to square the ball for Saka, where two players were running through, it was 3-on-1. It
Yeah,
was going from the left. The pass, like he had so much space to play that pass into, to square the pass into. And if you look at the reaction from the bench, you understand like the disappointment, like the shock and the disappointment. Look, from all the players that came to the Premier League, I'll give this to Gyökeres. When they all have time to shoot and they shoot and they connect with the ball,
yeah,
Gyökeres is the most likely to score.
yeah. He can
Yeah,
finish.
he's the most likely to score in terms of finishing. He's the most likely to score. However, he
Build up
needs
play.
he needs a fraction, like the timing. He needs like a millisecond more to get his shot away. So you have whereby sometimes he looks through on goal and then before he shoots, the defender has covered and blocked the angle, things like that. His hold up play is poor. He cannot really drift into space. You
Yeah,
see, modern day football, you understand, you have to be able to do most of all these things to an extent. So
yeah.
for me, he's not really my cup of tea, but again, like I said, like Arsenal fans, some will say he's good. Tomorrow now, they complain. So
Which
again, it's like
Arsenal
I said,
fans?
pick a strong. You
Yeah.
Which
had you
Arsenal
had
fans?
people. So I know some Arsenal fans that will tell you that again when Kai Havertz came back from injury and then he there was a game that Arteta put Havertz back into the lineup and then even recently when Havertz played some games and then Arsenal didn't win, you had some fans being that it's Havertz that Arteta keeps on playing. And today now you have Enigma saying, oh, the moment Havertz went out, no, the same Havertz that the moment he went out and Gyökeres came in, we had this issue. So that's where I'm coming from, as in the
Yeah, yeah, but
consistency is
yeah,
like which is
it's just the reality. I agree, but it's just the reality, though. It's just the
Like,
reality.
can we just not play without a striker? Because they're all. To be honest, Havertz, Jesus, they're all useless. They're just. I don't know. Like, I personally I dislike Havertz so much, but I don't even feel like if we put Gyökeres in, it's even gonna be any better.
Yeah, well, just what it is, though. Maybe this summer, if we get Alvarez, we might sort that out. I actually wanted Sheshko, though. Sheshko would have been a better fit for us now than Gyökeres. But that's story for another day.
uh,
All right, now, so let's go to the injury and suspension watch. When you say something, though, eh?
no. I wanted to just toss in that Arteta also wanted Sheshko. Just saying.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't think his finishing is that great.
Yeah, no, but
Finishing straight
he
to
does a
the
whole lot
pass.
more. Yeah, that's the truth though. The issue that actually doesn't position himself to get those chances, and that's why
Just
and the Premier League don't give you that kind of space.
a
Okay, guys.
passenger.
So let's look at this list. These are the key injuries and suspensions for Game Week 34. Jaden Bogle got injured for Leeds, Jai Konya for Nottingham, Mo Salah for Liverpool, Shola and Simmons for Spurs, Havertz and Eze for Arsenal. So I'll start with you, Machu. Looking at this list, who do you think has the biggest impact being away from their team?
I would say Bogo for
Okay.
Leeds because he has been very effective at his right wing back position. Yeah, it's almost like an inverted winger, and his speed in itself. He hasn't scored any goal yet, but he has created a lot of panic. The
No,
same
no,
thing. Yeah. So what he does on the right is what Goodmanson does on the left itself. Yeah. So and James Justin isn't as offensive minded as he is when it comes to pushing forward and driving with the ball.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
he's
he has scored just one goal when they played Nottingham Forest 3-1 in February. The other
yeah.
one he was playing as the right forward actually. So he's very versatile for them. I
Yeah,
agree with you.
yeah, he is very versatile, and yeah, he's going to be a big miss. If you noticed in the semi-final today, Leeds weren't doing much from the right side of their defense. They were trying to go through the middle and trying to push through the left in itself because who played right wing back again? I didn't get the lineup correct because I was watching something else.
Yeah, he actually came on as a sub. So
Bogu.
yeah, Bogu still played.
Okay, then that means he's not injured then now.
No, so I'm
Okay.
surprised. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
I mean, then he's not going to be a big miss because I didn't see much of the semi-final. I was watching the women's and semi-final instead. Yeah,
Yeah, we know.
so that was where my mind was. I was when it comes to I'm an Arsenal female supporter.
And
Yeah,
Arsenal male
so
supporter,
but like I said,
the closest one too.
yeah, nah, not the closest one.
How are you so on Arsenal female team
Yeah,
and not
because
the
we never
men?
had a female team at Man United. We just started how many years ago? Even then, I was both Arsenal and Manchester City. In fact, any English team because I needed us to get to. Sorry, I'm having an issue with my balance. Yeah,
Yeah,
I needed
sorry.
us to get past to get past this dominance from Lyon and Barcelona in the females. Any English team that gets to the final, semi-final will have my full support. But as it is,
Yeah,
I'm still.
yeah. It's
Yep.
it's like people are very different.
Yeah, true,
So
true.
yeah,
No,
so
that's
Yeah.
fine, bro. So Henry,
yeah,
what
so
I
about
but
mean,
you?
so Bogu would have been my choice if you were injured and out. Yeah, that would have been who I'd have suggested that I'd have missed mostly
Oh, okay, fair
among
enough.
the.
Okay, do you what about you?
um, I think I didn't see Rodri on that list. I don't know if Rodri is back.
No, he was in the previous week. So not this week he got injured. This is the player that got injured this game week.
Okay, this week. Okay, so for people that got injured this week, for me, I'll probably put it at easy because when you look at the Arsenal game, you understand the goal he scored. I think in the Arsenal squad, the two people I trust to be able to score that goal are he and Rice. And if you
Yeah,
look at the goal he scored the goal he scored in the Champions League, also something almost out of nothing. You understand? Fantastic strike against City, also from similar position. Where he received the ball, fainted, puts it on his left leg, and then he struck the post. So he has that, and I feel like Arsenal this period they desperately need that sort of creativity because you watch Arsenal play in attack, it's labeled.
yeah,
Almost everything Arsenal do in attack is like it's a struggle. You understand? They are really the players are trying their best, but the quality. I think even Martinelli got injured this week. Also, Martinelli also got injured. You understand? So considering the amount of players that are out, it's been a problem for Arsenal this period. So I feel like it has to be easy, being that he's also very very dynamic from the left, in the middle to give Odegaard some respite and things like that. I feel like it's easy.
okay. Henry,
Yeah, I think I would be leaning towards AC also, but I mean, if you look at the scale of things, for Spurs, they're down to bare bones, man.
yeah,
Xavi Simons, has been a live wire for them, recently. Him being out, I don't know what they have, to throw on next. I think he would be a
yeah.
very, very key.
So when he got subbed for the injury, they brought on Matistel, so they can still play Richarlison
No,
on that position.
Tell came on for Kolomwani
Oh yeah.
when Bergval came on for Xavi Simons.
Yeah. That's true.
But I mean, there's the difference in quality is just obvious. I mean, I feel for Spurs personally. I don't know how. I don't know where and how they get out of this mess they are in right now. But Xavi Simons is definitely going to be a big miss. But I hope that he doesn't miss the World Cup because that knee injury looked really, really
Yeah. I already saw
terrible.
that it might probably be ACL, but they are still waiting for the prognosis to be sure of it.
Yeah, he
Please,
jabbed
Spurs
the
should,
knee, so I don't know how long it's going to be.
they should be relegated, please. Spurs, they should be relegated. The only thing they do in the Premier League almost every season is give us now 6 points. They should go down. We don't want those kind of teams in the league.
Yeah, but I'll really miss them when they go down, though. All right, guys. So let's have a look at the table. Right now. So what we do here in Watch, we look at the teams that are here and we just predict who will probably get to the top half. So starting with you, Doye, who's a contender? Looking at the form.
Uh, I don't really think any of these teams are. I don't think any of these teams are going to make it into the top half. Unfortunately, this
Yeah.
moment, I don't think there's no one here. I see that. In the way you look at form, fixtures, and everything, I don't believe in. I hope City beat Everton. Really hope that. So again,
Oh my God, the character man, Harry. What
eh,
about you?
I'm hoping Everton are really close to the top half. 47 points, a win gets them up to 50
50.
points. So Everton, I think Everton are gonna do well to be in the top half. Next week. So hopefully we keep fingers crossed on that.
Yeah, want you?
Yeah, it's going to be Everton for me too as well. So I just checked table now. So Arsenal are playing Fulham next,
Yeah.
and Everton are playing Man City. So I think an Everton draw will pull them through over Fulham.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully that's an evening fixture. I just hope it's in the night.
yeah, it's a Monday night
that,
feature, a cold Monday night.
9
sorry,
p.m.
please, excuse. Sorry. Enigma.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, guys. Please, I need to get my holy water. I need to do some binding and casting. I'm coming. If you bear with me, I need to bind. I need to do some binding because some of the things
Monday
I'm hearing
night.
here.
Monday
I need
night.
to. I have to bind and cast.
Oh my
What
goodness.
sort of what sort of prayer is that?
Oh my goodness.
Please.
That's awesome. All right, guys. So this is the final part of today's video. We're going to talk about the predictions. So the last time we met, we looked at game week 33, and Henry, Ibuka, and Doye were the ones that were part of this. So Henry got a 4/10,
Too badly.
Ibuka got a 3/10, and Doye got a 4/10. So we're going to predict the games for game week 35. Let's see if Henry and Doye can do better. Or let's see whether Matthew Bet can now come into the fore and bring his real predictions into the business here. So Matthew, what we do here is that when I call the fixture, you just call the score line with the home team first, and away team next. So I'll start with you,
Okay.
Doye. Leeds, Burnley.
I'll give it to Leeds. Probably 2 goals to nothing.
Henry,
3-1.
Matthew,
I'll give it to Leeds 3-0. I don't think Burnley will score.
Doye, Brentford, West Ham.
Ooh, Brentford West Ham. I'll say 1-1 draw.
Henry,
Man, that's a difficult game. For the sake of West Ham, 1-2.
Matthew,
I'll give it to Brentford 3-1.
Doye, Newcastle, Brighton.
Newcastle Brighton. Let's say 2-2.
Henry,
Newcastle wins that one for me. 2-1.
Matthew,
Their struggles continue. Brighton wins. Brighton. Oh, 2-2. 2-2 as
draw?
well.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
draw. Score draw.
Okay, Doye, Wolves, Sunderland.
Wolves Sunderland 1-2.
Henry,
1-1.
Matthew,
0-2. Sunderland win.
Doye, Arsenal, Fulham.
Arsenal, Fulham. It ideally should be an Arsenal. I think Arsenal win this one.
Well,
Two one.
oh wow! I thought
2-1.
I thought the hate in you that made you predict a
Oh,
draw.
put it 1-0. 1-0. 1-0. No,
Okay.
West Ham, the fixture after that one, when you play West Ham, wait for a prediction there.
Henry,
2-0.
Matthew,
2-0 too.
Douye, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace.
Oh.
Bournemouth Palace. 2-1.
Henry,
I feel like Bournemouth are probably gonna start running out of luck. Palace needs a win. Bournemouth needs Europe. 1-1.
Matthew,
I'll give it to Palace. Palace win.
score.
Palace win 0-1. No,
Okay.
0-1.
Great. Douye, Man United, Liverpool.
All season they have been having a full week to rest and play teams, and they think they know how to play. I will rest for full week and I'll come to that match. Man U 1, Liverpool 3.
Nice. Henry,
Yeah, I go 1-3 also.
Matthew,
I'll go 1-2. Sorry, 0-2.
wow.
Oh,
Interesting.
you believe Liverpool will beat Man U at Old Trafford?
Yes, no. Do you think I did? I'm not that fanatical. I'm a strong fan, but I'm not that fanatic.
Good
Wow.
one.
Wow.
Douye,
I don't
Aston
even think
Villa.
I don't even think my United will score.
Oh wow. So 0-2 is the final score, yeah?
Amen.
Yeah, 0-2.
Let me
Awesome.
keep my let me return my olive oil
Holy
for
water.
no padding and casting for this one. No padding and casting for this one.
Nice. Douye, Aston Villa Spurs.
Oh, Aston Villa Spurs. I think they're gonna play a draw. 1-1.
Henry,
Spurs injury decimated. Villa wins this one. 2-0.
Matthew,
Who is home?
Aston Villa.
Villa.
Aston Villa. Oh, Aston Villa 3-0. Watkins hat-trick.
Nice. Douye, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest.
Chelsea Forest. I think they're gonna play a draw. So 1-1.
Henry,
2-1.
Matthew,
Chelsea Forest. Forest wins 3-1.
that's 1-3.
Yeah, 1-3. Yeah.
Okay. Then finally, Douye, Everton, Man City.
1-3. Everton 1, City 3.
Henry,
1-3.
Yeah,
1-3.
this is where the wheels fall apart. 2-1. Dwight McNeil, a double.
yes, boss. Matthew,
1-1.
awesome. That works for us too. All right, man. So this has been awesome as always. Always good to have you guys. So what we just do here, your final review of the game week. So I'll start with you, Henry. How was game week 34 for you?
Yeah, I mean, the running it served up a bit of surprise, with Forest winning 5-0, and City not being able to crush Burnley as much as I expected. So, I mean, the tension is definitely there, and also the Champions League or European sports this season, the way the table is so tight has made it really, really competitive in comparison to the previous year. I think if you look back at the 22-23 season, the year we competed with City for the league, most of the teams they faced were just mid-table. They really had no European and ambitions.
Yeah.
So it was literally just a walk, for City through those games. This time around, it's going to be different. Almost all the teams they face have something to play for. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And last week, as we saw, every game was just a new biter.
Nice. Doye?
I don't know if you can hear me because my network is it's seemingly breaking.
Yeah.
Am I good?
No, no,
We can hear you, but
you're
the
buffering, but
video
we
is.
can hear you.
Okay. Well, the week the week for Liverpool was very, very good. You understand? I like the fact that we managed to get uh put clear daylight. You understand? I feel like the top five race is over now in the Premier League. So going forward, we can just maybe mainly focus on saying our goodbyes to the legend Mo Salah and the Robertson that we leave him. So for me, I think that's basically all I have to chip in.
Okay. Matthew, your game with 34 review in general.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, it was a great week, and goes to show how exciting the EPL can always be. Yeah, one or two surprises here and there with the Sunderland capitulation. So where we would expect more surprises in game week in the remaining game weeks as well. Yeah, which is why some of us came up with some weird predictions, but it is what we're expecting. Remember, what we expect usually might not turn out to the final happenstance, but then it is what it is. That is why there's excitement in the league itself. Yeah.
Awesome. And thanks for making your debut on the channel. It was good to have
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much. I was glad to have. If you notice, I have some visitors around, and I've been trying to keep them in check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Obviously, to the folks on the chat, as always, thanks for the love. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys on the next stream. Cheers, everyone.
Okay. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.